Hey guys, this is CSDX, but you can call me Sean, and welcome to another edition of Praise Appraisal, where I determine why in God's name the Pokemon fandom has become so gatekeepingly inhumane. Okay, let's be real, this is not going to target those that have given valid constructive criticism about the games, but more are directed at the so-called fans that openly harass the devs for minuscule crap to the point that one of them actually had the balls to give a false accusation of sexual assault against Junichi Masuda, while also trying to get the president at the time to actually prevent the games from being released. What is wrong with like 20% of you all? Look, I love Pokemon. It's one of my all-time favorite franchises that gave me some great moments in my past, but man did the fandom turn foul with acting like visuals in every Pokemon ever in the same game makes the game. You've literally become that one meme about the devs laughing over a game with all the regions, legendaries, etc. all rolled into one. You should not be proud of that. See, the discourse started sometime after Sword and Shield were revealed, with people acting like the texture of a tree ruins the entire game, and were angry that the devs cut Pokemon because of something that can easily be figured out through common sense and thinking. That they didn't have the time to put them all in, so they had to do what they had to do to make sure Sword and Shield was as bug-free and finished as humanly possible. And it was. They then released DLC for the game, adding back in at least 200 Pokemon to the Pokedex, which, truth be told, it's better than paying another $60 to $120 for an enhanced version or two. However, despite the vocal minority shitting on Sword and Shield so much that it affected the devs and prompted them to take a different approach, they, at the literal same time, expected the Sinnoh remakes to be done in Sword and Shield's game engine. This is on you, fandom! Yeah, so it turns out Game Freak opted to take Pokemon in a new approach in a sort of Sinnoh prequel coming out soon called Pokemon Legends Arceus. Hot damn, does it look good. As for the traditional Sinnoh remakes, they were outsourced to a dev team called ILCA, who made Pokemon Home but also assisted in development for a plethora of other games from what I looked up, such as the Nair series, Yakuza 0, and even Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Meanwhile, BDSP is their first full solo project with only them working on it. While I'm going to actually make sure to keep that in mind when I talk about this game, I ain't gonna lie, it definitely shows. Did I mention this is because you guys bitched about stuff kids wouldn't care about? You know, the target demographic of this game? Seriously guys, first of all, don't blame Game Freak for this, they're just the development team. What you should be going after, or rather criticizing for this, is the Pokemon Company and Nintendo being both the publishers of these games. And second, just to use a clip here.
When are you gonna learn that your actions have consequences? Consequences that affect other people!
This is literally the surprise Pikachu meme in real life. By the way, that clip earlier that I showed with the Floating Houndoom, that was just version 1.1 of the game. So it's highly likely that that issue has been patched out. Think. So first things first, where the fuck's my hat? The game starts with you learning about the news of Red Gyarados, just like in the original games. You then encounter your rival who tells you to get to the lake, just like in the original games. And you fight Starly as a means to choose your starter. So I think the one thing I can say about these games is that if you played Diamond and Pearl, you've likely played this. Sort of. Granted, the games do have some, keyword some, of the Platinum stuff, but this sadly doesn't include any Platinum quality of life stuff such as the back button on the Pokédex, short for Pokemon Watch, the Sinnoh Dex including a bunch of other Pokemon, and Rotom can only be caught post-game. You can still get the key to the appliances it can possess though. Speaking of the Pokemon left out of the Sinnoh Dex this time, there was an admittedly beneficial change in the Grand Underground in that you can now catch a Platinum Dex Pokemon among other Pokemon in special areas in the Underground such as Ralts, Houndoom, and Magnemite. Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't find Houndour either, but truth be told, that's really the only good thing about it. Granted, mining for stuff is great, especially when farming for a specific item needed for something post-game that I'll get to in a bit after a spoiler warning. But not only are the secret bases for these games a major downgrade for the original, but you can't interact directly with other players to get a frickin' Spiritomb. No, you have to talk to NPCs underground, and only NPCs, but not the hiker NPCs. The reason this sucks is that unless you're willing to spend hours trying to find new NPCs in the same area, you have to wait till the post-game to try and get it. Okay, upsides. Let me think of upsides. It's fun. Yeah, to be honest, ILCA managed to capture the game's fun factor pretty well. On top of that, as much as I'm a bit bummed myself that we didn't get an ORAS level remake set out of this, the chibi models are fucking adorable. Just look at Cyrus, he an Angie baby. I also want to make note about Poffin making. I admittedly have not done any of the contest stuff as the changes that were made to it, even with the original, were not as good as with RSC and ORAS, but I did opt to make Poffins anyway. This This mechanic blows. Okay. It turns out I fucked up. Simply put, don't use multiples of the same berries to make a stronger puffin, because apparently that doesn't work that way. Well, how the hell was I supposed to know that combining milk with milk makes salami? So honestly, I think the big selling point here is Ramana's Park, the replacement for Pal Park. And I know the games have been out for at least a month, maybe two, by the time this comes out, but spoiler warning, click the time here to skip it. So one thing that disappointed me about these remakes was that despite being terrified at the thought of the Distortion World and Sword and Shield visuals, we did get the Distortion World. Kinda. So to get the special slates for trying to catch legendaries, you need to farm for mysterious shards in the underground, post-game only. Either 3 small ones or 1 large one next to a slate of your choosing. The Distortion Slate ends up available after catching Giratina in Turnback Cave, and you use it in a cave that is labeled as Distortion World. Insert the slate, and you get to fight, not catch, a shadowy origin Giratina that legitimately haunts my nightmares. Sadly, the arena for battling it is the same as fighting some other legendaries in Ramana's Park, but truth be told, I really don't mind it. We got something Platinum related, and there was even a rendition of the theme song for fighting Origin Giratina in Platinum. Now mind you, the Pokemon is level 100. What was my strategy? Cheese it with Sturdy, much like I did with Cynthia. You then get a Grisius Orb to turn your Giratina into Origin Form Giratina. I legitimately love that they put this in the game. It makes up for a number of things. Speaking of Cynthia, I had planned to try and one-shot Cynthia's Garchomp with an Ice Beam from B-Barrel like I once did back in my Platinum days, but turns out they made the Elite Four on Cynthia even harder than they were originally. Hell, I didn't get to one-shot Garchomp because it held a Yash Berry, and I didn't think to try and get Cynthia to heal it afterwards. Still, I won, all thanks to Magnezone with Sturdy, an ability that I don't have in my Shining Pearl team, based on my OG Diamond team. I'm probably doomed this time. I don't know, maybe I should use Manaphy and Jirachi instead. And Drifblim. I've always wanted to use it once, much like I wanted to use Honchkrow. Why haven't I used Honchkrow though? By the way, these games were apparently very buggy at release, with a lot of them more than likely patched, from the aforementioned floating Houndoom to items not showing up at the bottom of the bag when you obtain them that I could swear is a genuine bug, to this convo that's supposed to go from Grunt 1 to Grunt 2 but stays at Grunt 1, to issues with soft locking and gym puzzles partly due to the autosave feature as well as forgetfulness about saving after hours of gameplay. I refuse to fault them. We've all been there. I mean, why do you think it's such a gamer trope to save a second time immediately after saving once already? And on top of that, these games needed the day one patch in order to include stuff such as the opening and ending cinematics, which with the opening one, the lightning at Mount Coronet, is a nice touch. Same it wasn't replicated in the actual game. Wait a fucking second. A day one patch for a Pokemon game. A day one patch. A fucking day one patch! You're probably wondering why I'm so up in arms about this. Well, when the hell was the last time a Pokemon game got, let alone needed, a day one patch regardless of whether it was bug fixing, adding in content, whatever, that's supposed to be part of the base game? Mainline series, damn it! X and Y didn't need that, albeit they did have a bug that crashed a game that they missed. Oras didn't need it, Gen 7 didn't need it, even Sword and Shield, the games that people like to rag on for being considered unfinished because of cut Pokemon, didn't need a day one patch. This is unheard of. And yes, I get it. This is still ILCA's first full project when they only had 16 people on the team working on the game. But I'm still genuinely shocked about this. I'm sorry, I really am. It is actually a struggle to not be too cynical about this because it's their first project from them and them alone. And I just want to make this clear that I made sure to do my research. In terms of the mainline games from 3DS to now, which is basically 3DS being when they started putting out updates, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl were the first mainline games to actually need a day one patch. In fact, they got 2. The second one was just to optimize the first update. How do you need an update to optimize an earlier update? I don't understand. As far as I know, when an update is needed to optimize something, it's for DLC, not a previous update, let alone one that you put out 8 days before release with no issues about it during that 8 days. Look, I'm sorry, I really am, but this is just dumbfounding. I literally welcome anyone in the comments, in the quote retweets, in the retweets, in the tweets, or whatever, Facebook posts. I don't give a shit where you say it, just please point out to me how it works for an update to need another update to adjust the earlier update for release because my brain hurts and I want to die. Oh shit, the bike is back. Oh shit, the controls for it suck! Yeah, one major issue with this game is that it was a one-to-one remake that took that a bit too literally, as you have the option to use the control stick, but the game is more grid-based like the original. This is what helped cause a few of the bugs and soft locks as well as the auto-saving feature. But trying to move with the D-pad, especially the split D-pad on the Joy-Con, feels stiff and just wrong. I also struggle to get through certain spaces because using the control stick apparently doesn't properly align you or something? On top of that, it makes controlling the bike awful, especially if you're next to a wall, you move like molasses all of a sudden. It's not too fun to control, but it's somehow still a better option. And by the way, I did try controlling it with the D-pad on the Pro Controller, and well, let's just say the traditional D-pad Nintendo's been making since like 2017 when the NES Classic first debuted sucks balls too. Hell, say what you will about the games like I did, but the pre-order bonus for this sucks. So instead of a poster like we got for plenty of other years, the pre-order bonus for the games this year are pins, and they're not even good. Look at this, it's literally just plastic loosely shaped like the image that's pasted onto it. Hell, if you paid attention to my wall, you'd see a whole posters I gotten with pre-orders with regard, but instead I got these that wouldn't even be noticeable if I tried putting them on my wall. It's not even designed with care. Hell, look at the pre-order for Pokemon Ruby back in 2003, a special coin with Groudon on it. This clearly looks like it had care and effort put into the design to make it meaningful. Not to mention, if I wanted a poster, I'd have to import a pre-order from another country. Nintendo of America strikes again! Honestly, I think that's all I can say about these games aside from most of the story. So while this is virtually the same story as Diamond and Pearl, there are people that likely haven't played Diamond and Pearl and probably haven't played these games yet. So I ask that you skip ahead to the time listed here if you want to avoid any spoilers about it. If nothing else, this gives me a chance to review Platinum on its own in the future. So our rival is Barry, and not gonna lie, he feels a tiny bit more fleshed out, but I'm gonna save my thoughts for him on my Pokemon Rival Retrospective series, if that's okay with you guys. We get our Pokemon from Professor Rowan, who's meant to look intimidating. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I didn't see it in the opening either. As we battle gym leaders and other trainers throughout the story, we encounter Team Galactic, who are basically the goofy-looking team with near-genocidal motives before Team Flare was. Oh, I'm not even joking. Team Galactic is basically what Team Flare is, but with dimensional genocide instead of nationwide genocide. Simply put, Cyrus, this tiny Angie Babu, is disgusted with humanity on all levels. You and me both, Virgil. And he wants to erase this dimension and create a new world free of that sort of crap, but as its lone ruler. Yeah, I don't know if that's... Take me with you, please! So, long story short, after attempts of trying to stop them in various ways, they managed to capture the legendary trio of Sinnoh, which also involves literally blowing up a goddamn lake and holds them against their will to create an item known as a red chain, which is used by Cyrus to try and capture either the god of time Dialga or the god of space Palkia, depending on the version you have. And I ain't gonna lie, this actually looks pretty fucking sick. Of course, beating Cyrus results in him going off about trying to become a god still, and his fate's left up to interpretation, I guess. By the way, catching Giratina kinda sucked, please nerf. Oh hey, they left a Jasmine cameo in here. Let's go Johto, anyone? Alright, I think I've said all I felt that I need to say about these games, and while these games are flawed with a lot of bugs upon release, probably some still existing as far as I know, I'm sorry guys, I still had fun with it. So they're one-to-one remakes for the most part. So is Adventures in Madness. So are the Crash Bandicoot and Spyro Trilogy remakes. So are countless remasters. The thing is, they're still a fun time. Plus, it's unfortunately the only affordable way to experience Gen 4 thanks to people price gouging older Pokemon games based on them being considered rare and hard to find these days. Personally, I'd get them at a discount if possible if I were you, because they're fun, but they're still flawed, and we have no one to blame but the toxic minority of the fandom for this. Of course, on the plus side here, we also have them to blame for Pokemon Legends Arceus coming out so